Hey there, everybody. How's it going? Okay, so a lot of interesting things are happening. First of all, very important. Let me say that I have printed all of the folio sets that have been ordered, and now I'm going to put the finishing touches on them, and they should be going out next week. Awesome. So thank you to everyone who's ordered the folio set. I really appreciate it. There's still a whole bunch available, so but the sales have been strong, and that's awesome. I think I've sold like six or seven of them so far. So I've printed up 10. So so if you order one, you should get it right away. But so that's that. Fuji is not making it easy. They got 3 new cameras out, and each one of them is compelling in its own right. So I did get rid of the A7 IV because so far the X-H2 and the X-H2s are doing what I bought the A7 IV for video. And I can do things with the X-H2s that the A7 IV just doesn't do, right? And Fuji has fixed the autofocus problem. I think they've fixed the program mode. I don't see surging. The white balance is working now. So I think what it was with the X-T4 is I think the processor was overwhelmed. I've said that before, and I'll say it again. When they threw, I don't think the X processor 4 could handle the addition of the IBIS in the X-T4. There was just way too much going on, and it kind of made the camera kind of sluggish, whatever. So so everything on the X-T4 kind of sort of worked and kind of sort of didn't. With the new X processor 5, there doesn't seem to be any of those problems. And everything seems to be working as advertised, which is spectacular. The X-T5 kind of put the cat among the pigeons, though. I prefer the X-T series cameras. I prefer the size, the weight, the interface. I love the dials. So it's more of a photographer's camera, although I get it that it's not really the PASM dial on the X-H2, X-H2s are better for video, like it's quicker. And those custom settings, the 7 custom settings, yeah, the X-H2, X-H2s are just faster. It just works faster. So, okay. So the X-H2, X-H2s, they're more like, they're just tools. They're not like these, you know, Leica-ish cameras with the dials, the old analog that you enjoy shooting with. I enjoy photography a lot more with an X-T series camera. Having said that, function follows form. And I was thinking of keeping the X-H2 and replacing the X-H2s with an X-T5 and having kind of the best of both worlds. But the 4K 120 frames per second, I could use that. That's cool, okay? And there aren't too many cameras that do that. There are no cameras under $3,800 except for the X-H2s that do that. So the X-H2s is like the ultimate video camera, and it, yeah, I mean, it really does the business. And the X-H2 non-S camera is really spectacular for stills. I prefer the interface. So the thing is, the cameras though, with the PASM dials and the grip and the bigger size and all that, they're styled like Canons or Nikons or Sonys. I mean, they really feel like a Canon, a Nikon, or a Sony. They kind of lose that Fujifilm magic of the analog dials. So that's a negative. But on the other hand, as far as like useful tools are concerned, they're great cameras. Of the Nikons and the Sonys, I haven't used the Canons. I've used Canon DSLRs, but of the Nikons and the Sony mirrorless cameras that I've used, I prefer Fujifilm's take on that style of camera. So there is that, okay? They are a little bit smaller than the Sony A7R4, Sony A7 IV, so that's a plus, but they are bigger than the X-T4, X-T5. So, you know, like I said, I was thinking of replacing the X-H2 with the X-T5, but I could do that, right? I was thinking of replacing the X-H2s with the X-T5 because the X-H2, I would have two 40 megapixel sensors, and the X-H2 would do the video with the better eye tracking. It's, you know, the X-T5 isn't really a video camera, it's more of a photographer's camera because it doesn't have the articulated screen and all that. Having said all that, I think I'm going to hold off on the X-T5 and I'm just going to run the X-H2s and the X-H2 because they both are top of the line, and those two cameras, they may not be the ultimate in terms of interface, they're not the X-T series, but they are the ultimate in terms of performance, both in video and in stills. So there is that. I have kept the A7R4 for now because I want to see exactly what that 40 megapixel sensor is delivering for me. So far, like, all I can say is, you know, I got my 12th portfolio image for 2022 was taken on frame number 12 on the X-H2. I think that's the least number of frames I've ever taken with a new camera and gotten a portfolio level image out of it. So far what I've seen of that 40 megapixel sensor, it is the smoothest and nicest and sharpest sensor of any of the cameras I've ever shot. Any of the digital cameras I've ever shot. So far I really like it. So I don't know what kind of, now there might be downsides, it might be doing weird things, it might, you know, I don't know. It's still early days. I've only taken like maybe 100 photographs with that thing. And I've only seen maybe 100 photographs out of that 40 megapixel sensor. But so far the 100 that I've seen are impressive. Could be the lenses, could be the color processing, could be the, you know, the filmic color processing, it could be the sensor itself. I mean, it is really something. It almost has that feel that the original X-Trans 16 megapixel sensor had, the first generation in the X Pro 1, which had that magical look to it. Yeah, they kind of captured that again. It's got this smoothness and this 3D depth to it that I'm really impressed with. So there is that. Yeah, so that's where we're at. Early days with the X-H2, X-H2s, but very impressed so far. And Fuji's making it tough. They're really coming out with some great cameras. And I you know, yeah, it just, it's really hard to wrap my head around where I'm at. The name of the game with the X-H2s though is that 4K 120. That is some really cool stuff. And I can have a lot of fun with that. So yeah, that's why I'm going to keep the X-H2s around for now, and the X-H2 I'm enjoying shooting that too. The X-T5 looks like a winner. I just, you know, it's just such a hard decision. X-H2, X-T5, tough one. You know, I could very easily run an X-H2s and an X-T5. Like that might be like the perfect combination of stills and video. All right, and I may do that. I don't know. I don't know. You know, money doesn't grow on trees, you know, and I have to seriously think about what I want to run. And if I had an X-H2 and an X-T5, which would I grab? I don't know. I'd probably grab the X-T5 for stills, right? But if I wanted to bring one camera and do both, that would be the X-H2. So again, Fuji's made it really hard, but they've made 3 different cameras that do 3 different things. And yeah, but they're really filling the niches well, and they're doing really well at what they do. So vast improvements with this new bunch of cameras. I'm really looking forward to the X Pro 4. That should be a really interesting camera. So we'll see what they do with that as well. Okay, so winter has come. There's snow on the ground. It's going to get really cold coming up in the next couple of days. And I'm out here. I figured I'd get out of the office. So on my Folio set, I think my year is going to run November through November. So the portfolio set for 2022 was kind of, you know, January through October, but the photographs, but it's done now. And the photographs that I'm taking in November and December for this year are going to be part of the 2023 Folio set. That makes more sense. This way I can go, well, it's my year is it's not going to be monthly. It's going to be more winter, spring, summer, fall. And winter for me starts in November. And that's just going to make it a lot easier. And this way I can represent some snow shots and some winter shots, and it'll force me to kind of get out and get some winter content for my folio, which I really need to do. So there is that. All right, so there's an opportunity here for a little bit of the leaves, the colored leaves, and snow, which is interesting. It's very rare to get both. Usually by the time the snow happens around here, the leaves are long gone. So I'm gonna see if I can get a shot like that. I've got an L bracket for my XH2, but I forgot it. It makes the camera just that much bigger, and I'm kind of not crazy about it. One of the things that Fuji did, which I think is a step backwards, is they made the level, even though it's toggleable, there's a word for you, they now included the 3D level as part of the deal. So when you push the button, you get the 2D level. Push it again, you get the 3D level. Push it again, you get no level. Well, now it's 3 button pushes. So they kind of screwed that up. Be nice if you could turn on which one you wanted, the 3D or the 2D. And so you just on, off, on, off. Now it's on, off, on, off. It's just a small annoyance. They turned something that was really quick and fast into something that now it's like pushing all the button on the back of the Sony, just toggling through everything. It's kind of annoying, but at least it's on the front button where I like it. So I got f8 at a 30th at ISO 125. Interesting shot. All right. One of the nice things about having the dedicated dials on the X-T5 is that your shutter speeds are always in the same place, your ISO is always in the same place. With the PASM and the 2 front dials and back dials, things move around. And you know, just shooting right here, right now, it's like in certain, whichever mode I'm in, sometimes the back dial is ISO and not ISO. Sometimes the back dial is exposure compensation, sometimes it's shutter speeds. The front dial is apertures, sometimes the ring's apertures, and nothing's more frustrating than when you're in a mode and you think that the exposure compensation should be on the back dial and you can't get the exposure compensation to work. Like when you have a dedicated exposure compensation dial, it's always there, it always works. Unless you're in a mode that exposure compensation doesn't work in, like manual or something, like then that makes sense. But that's the problem with PASM cameras and with electronic dials that can turn into other things. Sometimes you get to the point where you don't know where anything is. I'm sure you get used to it and you shoot in the same mode, whatever, yeah, maybe. But that's the beauty and the intelligence of the X-T5 and the X-T series from Fuji. The things you're looking for don't move around, which is nice. So I'm talking myself into an X-T5 here. You see that? See how that works? So yeah, for photography, I much prefer an X-T5. But as a hybrid camera, I totally get it. But the 124K on the X-H2s, like that's a keeper. So yeah, you see the conundrum. God bless Fuji for making it difficult. I mean, spoiled for choice. That's awesome. It's about time. I mean, it used to be not very long ago, a few months ago, where like if you wanted any of this, you had to go to Sony. So Yeah, what can I say? Hey, thanks for watching. Thanks for coming out. Like, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications. We'll see you out here. Bye.